This is the Variety Sports Network, created for the fans, by the fans. Now to your host of tonight's show.
And welcome to another episode of Talkin the Gridiron here over at Variety Sports Network in the Clutch Studios. Make sure you use that code Variety Sports Network. You get 15% off anything they're at in the Clutch. I'm always joined by, as usual, Jimmy Pilato from Far End of the Bench podcast. Me and him, I feel like we've hung out all day together today or something like that, Jimmy. So good to have you. Good to see you again, my friend. And of course, we got Brian the Main Man Johnson. That's going to be a staple here as well with us on Talking the Gridiron. But Jimmy, first, how are we doing there, sir?
It's good. It's the long weekend. I'm finally getting. I feel like I get a break and get to breathe a little bit from school starting. We talked a little bit about that on my Sunday Scaries show that you can find on the Far End of the Bench podcast. And if you're tuning in through the Far End of the Bench YouTube channel, be sure to check out the Variety Sports Network YouTube channel. Subscribe to both places. Leave a like in both places. The more you interact with us, the easier it is for us to bring content to everybody. And that's what this show is for. This is going to be about the second half of Sunday Night Football. We can all watch it together, and we'll talk about the rest of the games that are happening. So be sure to subscribe and keep supporting both places because we run off of your support.
Doug, our main man there. Appreciate it, guys. It always makes it easy when you got good people with you, Doug. As you know, and like Jimmy, you said, they're Far End of the Bench. I was honored to be on your show this morning. The Sunday Scaries. That was fun to do that show, talking a little teacher and a little admin stuff, and kind of doing something a little different there than just sports. So that was really cool. So yeah, make sure you check out Far End of the Bench podcast, one of our favorites, one of the what I call it a classic now. You guys are in the classic category now because
I don't know if we've been around that long.
Well, I have no idea.
By the way, tomorrow morning, I just got to give a shout out because the PLL playoffs are tomorrow. They start. Redwoods kick things off for the weekend. They're playing at Gillette Stadium. If they win, they continue on. They're the 4th seed, so they got a tough matchup.
Hey, so okay, I tried to look it up. I couldn't find anywhere. Redwoods. What is the city they're from?
They don't have cities yet.
Okay,
the PLL right now, they've announced what cities are going to get a host team, but they haven't assigned teams to cities yet. Right now, they're still and they're going to continue with it. They do the tour model, so they don't have to have stadiums that you fill out half a schedule for. They just go to a specific place and everybody plays no matter where you go, and it's worked out for them. That's why they're growing immensely quick. They're kind of inching up. They're not there yet, but they're kind of inching up towards MLS status. They're still not full-time professional athletes, but they're getting there.
Yeah, I saw they had the awards thing because of following Nico and stuff like that. Actually, we have shout out Nico, right? He had a birthday earlier this week as well, so you got to shout out him. Yeah, he's basically kind of like an assistant, right? Does assistant stuff there.
Equipment, and then he's the liaison. He sets up all the travel and the
very cool.
He's lacrosse operations pretty much. He does a very similar job to what my sister does down at CSU Pueblo here in Colorado. So he travels around with them and then gets to deal with all of the professional lacrosse players who are here's my itinerary. Oh, wait, I got to switch my flight. Can you switch my flight 10 minutes before we take off?
Yeah,
no, that's not possible. It's never possible, especially not today.
Yeah, that's fun. That's something we want to do all the time. Yeah, so shout out there to Nico. Had a birthday this week. Shout out, like we said, Variety Sports Network. Follow me at Fat Boy Fadeaway Sports. My guy Terrell, Relative Sports, will get you out of here soon. Wearing your shirt, you got me here. We got my guys at Let's Be Real as well. Have been tuning in with us as well. And of course, our guy Doug on Saturday Showdown. I appreciate them always tuning in. Our guys at Out of Your Falcon Mind, gentlemen. Let's go. The opening, Brian. It starts Thursday night. Me and you've been talked about it this morning, right? We got Chiefs, Lions. This should be a big game because the Lions are coming up with all this hype, and we got the Chiefs. Big time to me. The opening drive, this top storyline to me, gentlemen. I'll kind of pose the question to you like this, Jimmy: is Chris Jones and Nick Bosa remain unsigned? What Super Bowl contending team needs their defensive lineman more? So, is it the Chiefs that need Jones more, or is it the Niners that need Bosa more at the end of the day? Brian, let's go with you first. Which one? I would be surprised if you go a different answer, but let's see what you say there.
Definitely Bosa, because he anchors the defensive line, and you just need him there. He's the guy who generates the sacks, and everything revolves around him.
Jimmy, I have at the bottom scrolling here, Travis Kelce begging Chris Jones to come back. What do you think here? What would be your answer to this?
I think they're going to miss him, If I said it on our show on Thursday, like if the Chiefs don't have Chris Jones, then the Bengals beat them. I think beat them kind of easily. He was making life difficult in the second half. So his presence is going to be missed. But if he comes back after 8 weeks, he's just going to be a little bit fresher. I said the Chiefs are going to benefit. Actually, they're going to struggle more losing Orlando Brown over Chris Jones. If Chris Jones doesn't come back, that sucks. But you lost your left tackle that's been protecting Patrick Mahomes, and that's what they lost the Super Bowl the last time. They had bad offensive line play. So I think that's where they're going to struggle more. So I would say probably Bosa with San Francisco because that is the anchor of their defense. Fred Warner is awesome, but if they don't have a great defensive line, Fred Warner is going to struggle because the guys aren't going to give him as free of a run to go and make plays and just chase the ball. Nick Bosa does a lot of things outside of just rush the passer that some people might not notice.
What did you make of Kelsey say that about like he didn't really understand? He's like, I don't get it. I just don't. Is that just kind of like
being Travis Kelsey? It's easy being him. Like what they made a Catching Kelsey TV show. Everybody wants to be Travis Kelsey nowadays. Kelsey, if your last name is Kelsey, you're set for life in the current NFL moment. Even all the new, I don't know if you've seen like the new NFL script writing commercials. Yeah. They're like the main storyline in those too. And their mom's she's not even famous, but she is now.
It's like the Donovan McNabb commercial. What was that? Was that even his mom?
The Campbell's, the chunky soup. I think it was his mom. I think it was his actual mom. I think that was like the main thing with that campaign. So that's why everybody would do it because they wanted their mom to be on TV.
Yeah, he's trying to hype up DirecTV, but they lost the best part of the NFL, which is Sunday tickets.
Yeah, so. we just clipped our DirecTV cable box. We're a YouTube TV people, and I'm paying the $300 for the Red Zone this year.
There you go. Exactly. Dirty Fanatics United tuning in again this week. Jimmy didn't scare you off last week. That's good. They're
good. They're ready to come back toe to toe. That's the people in Atlanta. That's what they do. They get up off the floor.
They come back. They're like you.
They're on the floor quite often, but they get back up.
I think they think the safety they got from you is going to be big for them.
Big time. So I'm going to go. I kind of think Chris Jones a little bit more. I think Bosa is the best player, but I feel like the Chiefs. He was such a big part of their pass rush last year. And I feel like without him, I just feel like that's kind of like one of those big pieces that they would be missing that, I don't know, could be like a little bit of a game changer that gets them off to a bad start and they lose a division out to the Chargers and they have a tougher playoff run.
It's not the craziest thing to say an all-pro guy not being on your defense is going to make you struggle.
But we are making it between these two. That's why I said it.
Making it between these two, it's still like you can – say the same thing about what I said about Nick Bosa, where he takes a lot of attention and gives a lot of free space to other people. Chris Jones does the same thing in Kansas City's defense. And Kansas City has a little bit more transition going on with the coaching staff. San Francisco has pretty much been where he is. That's the same staff, everybody's in the same positions. Like Kansas City's turning over quite a bit. So Chris Jones not being there, that's a distraction. And are they going to be able to deal with the distraction? I don't know. I would say no, but they've haunted everybody you're an AFC West fan too. They've haunted everybody in this division for so long.
But I think, man, how handy was it of the Niners to go out and get Hargrave? Yeah, I mean, maybe he can absorb the issue until Bosa comes in and signs.
It's they needed because Solomon Thomas was kind of like he's the lesser version of Bosa, and now him leaving and being in New York, they needed somebody else to be in there because it's built on depth, and that's where a lot of the teams struggle. Like you have one premier guy, but if the premier guy is down, you can't just win with one guy on the edge. Everybody, since the Broncos won Super Bowl 50, you need two premier pass rushers or at least two guys that can really affect things from the edge, and then your inside guys get to run free.
And this is an opportunity for Drake Jackson to maybe take a step forward and show that because he was a pass rushing freak at USC. So
yeah, we'll see if you guys get anything out of him. I thought that was just an interesting question because both big guys, both like you said, great, both all pro, Jimmy. So these aren't just your run of the mill guys that are sitting out football games. If they miss games here, start week one. Here's my other opening drive here. Players under the most pressure to perform this upcoming season. So like you think we've talked about teams a lot, right? Doesn't matter. This is just player. Who's a player that you feel like This is an opportunity for them. They need to come up and they need to start playing big this year. Jimmy, who you got?
Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers needs to make this worth it because, yeah, he was able to spite, hate, and totally tank the Packers and what they were trying to do. But if he doesn't have at least some success and like compete for a playoff spot, then he's just still the same Aaron Rodgers, where he's like great in the regular season, but he's only been able to put it together one time. So I think if he's going to be the guy that we talk about, this is going to be the season that he has to step up, and he's going to be the reason that team is able to go in a positive direction this year.
That's a good call there. We got Brian Burns here, a guy from waiting on a contract in Carolina. Brian, you got somebody a player that's under pressure?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mac Jones from the New England Patriots, just because, Bill Belichick, there's that debate between him and Tom Brady, who was really the success in that dynasty. And right now it's really looking like Tom Brady was the guy because he went out and won a championship with the Bucs. So, and as much as excuses you can make for Bill Belichick, like, you have not had any success since Brady left.
Brian, I think just also any chance for you to talk a little crap about the Patriots probably feels good. I think that helps your soul a little bit. I'm going to let you do it. I feel like you're going to sleep better tonight because of that. I'm going to let you. I'm a nice guy. I'm going to let you do that. Jimmy, you got any other players that come to mind or something like that might have a little pressure on this year?
I mean, the Bengals, if I'm looking personally, like Burrow, guy like T. Higgins, who's playing in the last year, I think he'd want to stay around. But if he plays really well, like I'm expecting, and like I think everybody wants him to, he's probably going to play himself off of the team. That's the negative when you have guys and you keep a core around for long enough. Guys are going to end up having to move on. So T. Higgins, if he's able to perform, that's going to put a lot of stress on the Bengals organization, and it's going to take a lot of stress off his shoulders. I think he's going to be pressing a little bit. It might struggle at first, but he's a clutch guy. He's a guy that shows up in the big moments all the way back to Clemson in the national championship. So he's going to be one where I'm looking and definitely watching. I think I snagged him on one of my fantasy teams. So we'll see.
He's one of my favorite players in the league. He really is. He's like, I don't know. There's just something about his game I like. So I'm a little
he's
jealous.
huge. You don't realize he's 6'6". So he elevates and he can play from the slot because he's so quick. Yeah, he's a wide receiver one anywhere else. He's more athletic and kind of a bigger AJ Green. He has that same vertical presence, and he can play from anywhere on the line.
I had a couple,
and he's a lot healthier than AJ Green was.
Yeah, he so far. I mean, knock on wood, because I need him to play all season. He has not struggled with injury up until this point, or really bad injury.
Just updating you, we're around 20, I think, right now, Jimmy.
I know. I'm just starting to pick random players because I've been so bored. The 8-hour clock is killing me. So I'm just like, why not? I'll pick a quarterback in round 17.
Our waiver wire is going to be pathetic.
Hey, I got a couple others here. I got Joey. How about Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack? I feel like they're under a little pressure this year to perform just because they kind of have
Chargers. Do you expect anything?
I just say personal players. This is just what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree with you. There is that. So those players, quarterbacks, I went, of course, your usuals, but I feel like Prescott, Goff, and Daniel Jones. And then I had a Falcon here, Kyle Pitts. I feel like he's under some pressure this year to get the job done. I feel like he's had he kind of feels like Brian, like Vernon Davis a little bit. Like, the talent is still there in the sense where Vernon Davis struggled for like 2 years, maybe not the same path, but just struggled. And then he kind of found his way and became one of the better tight ends in Niners history. I'm just saying Pitts still has the potential to do that. To me, Jimmy, this is kind of maybe his last shot in the sense of like the Atlanta, at least being in Atlanta.
He struggles, and he doesn't bring anything else to the table other than his receiving. So I would be pretty disappointed if I was a Falcons fan, because he hasn't even tried to. Maybe that they're not asking him to. They're trying to make him comfortable after college, but I feel like as a tight end, unless you're going to be considered a true wide receiver, you have to be able to block a little bit, and you have to be able to bring in at least something where you're not a dead giveaway. That if you're in the game, if you're lined up on the end, we're passing, because everybody knows you can't block. You can't block a soul.
That's not good when you do. When you're just but if your quarterback's good enough to get you the ball, then we'll see what happens. Arthur Smith's probably.
I was shocked they said he made a Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I was. Well, Brian, there's a lot of people that make Pro Bowls now. Apparently,
The fans vote on it.
I think Goff's under a lot of pressure too, and I also feel like I put kind of Barkley and Jacobs. They both said they were going to hold out. They end up not doing it.
No way.
Come on, show up. Let's get some yards here. Let's see if you can, if you want that big contract a little bit. Let's see if you guys can perform a little bit with this
They're
one
just
year.
going to get tagged again next year. It makes so much more sense with the way the CBA is set up. Just tag your running backs because you pay them like $14-15 million for the year, and if they suck, you get to let them go. If not, then you maybe sign them to another contract, but it's a year-to-year basis, and that's that position. That's the nature of that position.
Fair enough. Anybody else got any other players here, or do you want to move on to Super Bowl picks? I think are you guys ready to go there?
If we could go coaches, you definitely feel like Kyle Shanahan, just because
coaches. I'm saying,
No, who you got, Jimmy?
I was thinking Stefanski in Cleveland.
Yeah, no doubt. If he comes out and has a third or fourth place finish and isn't close to the playoffs,
they put too much into Deshaun to say that it wasn't. They would put every blame if it doesn't go well on Stefanski. He would take the fall completely because they have so much tied up and it's guaranteed money. So
absolutely, no, that's a good call there. All right, Super Bowl picks here. First, guys, we did our division picks last week. Just to give you guys a reminder here, Brian, in the AFC, you took Bills, Jags, Bengals, Chiefs. Jimmy, you took Bills, Jags, Bengals, Chargers as well. So I was thinking, if you want, you could give your 3 wild card teams, and then maybe your if you want, you could go with your championship picks as well. And if you want to save the Super Bowl or give it, either way is fine with me. I'll start it out. I took the Bills, Titans, Bengals, Chiefs to win the division. I'm going to take the Chargers, Jets, Steelers to make the playoffs in the AFC over there, right after they get off to a good start. After the Niners at
week one win against that.
Those are the teams I have. I have the AFC Championship game being Bills at Cincinnati. That's my AFC Championship game.
Mar Hamlin's revenge.
Exactly. Jimmy, you have AFC wildcard teams. Again, your division teams were Bills, Jags, Bengals, Chargers. Who would be the 3 other teams, and then maybe your AFC Championship game?
I'm going to go the wild card would be the Chiefs, because if they don't win the division, then they're not going to be out of the playoffs. The Steelers beat the Ravens for the second spot out of the North, and I think the Jets are going to be able to make the wild card. I don't think they're going to be able to overtake Buffalo because that's just too much of a turnaround, but I would say the Chiefs get that first wild card spot, and then the Steelers and Jets also go.
And who do you have maybe in the AFC Championship game? You don't have to give your pick yet if you want, but you're a winner.
The championship game, it's going to be Cincinnati. Yep. And I'm going to say it's Jacksonville because for some reason, they're going to start off slow like they did last year. They're going to have to win all their games down the stretch, and they're going to have some kind of magic run. Trevor Lawrence so far has proven that he's too good not to have at least one magical season. I don't know if it's going to go all the way. But honestly, that's also a little bit easier of a matchup if I'm talking about playing the Bengals in the AFC Championship. I was sweating it out against the Chiefs. I don't think I'd sweat quite as much against Jacksonville.
Brian, you got Bills, Jags, like I said, Bengals, Chiefs. Who you got your 3 other wildcard teams, and then your AFC Championship game?
I'm going to go Jets, Dolphins, Ravens.
Okay, I just couldn't pick the Dolphins, man. I just couldn't. And
is Tua going to make it through the season, or is the offensive line going to get him killed again?
That's kind of my
neurological disorder.
Tyler said he's taking tumbling classes, though, in the offseason to work on falling.
He should come wrestle with us in the offseason. We do. We teach tumbling to the kids. Like, if you get taken down awkwardly, you got to learn how to roll out of it and keep yourself healthy.
So maybe that's a thing then, Jimmy.
Don't smack your face on the turf. That never works out for anybody.
Maybe I shouldn't be smiling so much about it. Maybe it's a real thing, Brian. I should be. All right, Brian, who you got for AFC Championship then?
I'm going to go Chiefs versus Bengals again.
At Cincinnati or at KC?
At Cincinnati, I think.
Cincinnati should have been 1 seed last year too. I love it, Brian.
They're going to get home field advantage.
So we all have at Cincinnati getting the home game. That's crazy that we all have the way. I guess Jimmy's. I'm sorry. If we have Falcons Bengals, we're getting really influenced, Brian. Or Falcons Bengals, we're getting really influenced, Brian, with it.
Let's not get crazy.
Okay, so Jimmy, Jaguars at Cincinnati. I'm assuming you're taking Bengals to make the Super Bowl from the AFC.
Bengals win, and they're going to get one. If they don't get one championship out of this team, I'm going to be very upset. So I'm guessing, I'm hoping, I'm manifesting that it's going to be this year. Because then we also get extra podcasts. So selfishly, I want it for the content too. We've been really, really lucky over the past 2 seasons with the Avalanche and the Nuggets. I need a Bengals. The Bengals made a run to kick it all off too. It didn't end in victory, but they did make a run.
Brian, I have Buffalo beating Cincinnati. So I have Buffalo making the Super Bowl. Who do you have out of KC at Cincinnati?
I'm going to go Cincinnati. I just think that they're going to have everything going for them this year.
All right, so we got Bills and we got 2 Bengals there with the AFC Championship. So let's see.
Okay, the Bills just haven't beat them in 2 seasons.
That's all right. I feel like the Bills, there was a little weirdness last year as we did. We went plenty last year at Talkin the Gridiron. All right, let's go to the NFC, who the Bengals would be playing on that side. Jimmy, you ended up taking the Lions, Falcons, Eagles, Niners to win the division. Brian, you took the Lions, Saints, Eagles, Niners. I took Vikings, Falcons.
I thought when I did the NFC West, I cut out or something.
I figured you wanted the Niners. Did you want the Rams? Is that who I should write down? You got Rams? Is that who you want over there? So for the wild card, I ended up taking Dallas, Seattle, and Chicago getting the 3 wild card spots. And I have Philadelphia at San Francisco as the NFC Championship. So, again, I have Dallas, Seattle, Chicago, Philly at San Francisco. Jimmy, what do you got for your 3 wild card teams?
I think I'm with you on Chicago.
Okay.
I think New York. I think Dallas finally blows up, so I think New York gets one.
Okay.
And I'll say New Orleans. Maybe New Orleans is going to surprise us and do things because this is Dennis Allen's 2nd season, and he's going to have a quarterback that has some success. I know that we all don't trust Derek Carr, but he did have that 1 season before he broke his ankle that he was the MVP. Yeah. So maybe he finds it again.
Maybe 2016. That's where
I know. I was still in high school. I was living in a different house and everything. It was a different world. Harambe was still alive.
I saw some on Instagram. Daren would have hated, but it said possible things for the NFC and said the Saints could battle for the number 1 seed.
Oh, jeez, Brian, don't say that.
If that is the case, the NFC is awful compared to the AFC. Just like we suspect.
So, Jimmy, you had Lions. You have Lions, Falcons, Eagles, Niners, and then you have Bears, Giants, Saints. So, who do you have meeting in the NFC Championship game then?
Jeez, this one in the NFC Championship, I think it'll be. It's a rematch of one that we've seen in the past. It's San Francisco, and they host the Giants.
Okay, wow, that would be Brian. I don't know if Brian would actually like that. He doesn't like those colors at that stadium. I don't think.
It hasn't been successful in the past.
I don't know if you feel. I don't know. I think that would be a good season.
That was the weird one that ended with the punt, wasn't it? The punt that did. The Phantom touched the guy's knee and didn't touch his knee or whatever.
Kyle Williams.
Yeah. Sorry if I'm bringing up bad memories, Brian.
Well, Brian's there shaking his head like.
What was it? 3 fumbles in that game. They kept bringing him out.
yeah, he was terrible at that way.
It was like there was one game where we were watching. My dad was like, it was Devin Hester, the height of Devin Hester. The Broncos were playing the Bears. They're like, he keeps punting to him. Why? Because it's 3 in a row.
Don't do it anymore. Don't do it anymore.
Special teams coaches are the most stubborn creatures on the planet.
That's a good note there. They always are the most passionate. It feels like, or over the top ones in the out of all the coaching staff. Brian, again, you had Lions, you had the Saints winning division, Eagles, Niners. Who's your 3 wild card and your NFC Championship game?
I'm gonna go Bears, Cowboys, and then I'm gonna go actually a kind of a surprise team, but I think the Rams get in.
The Rams, man, that would be such a surprise. I have them as like one of the worst teams in the league this year. So
Bobby Wagner's going to turn things around. I don't know which way, but he's going to turn them around.
We better start intercepting a lot of passes for touchdowns. I know that they're going to need all the help, Brian. You called Matt Stafford on our show noodle arm many times, and you're thinking about that. Or what do you call him? Dead arm. You called him dead arm, but you're taking dead arm to make the playoffs. All right, who do you got in the NFC Championship game then?
Philly, but this year they're coming to San Francisco.
Okay, and I'm assuming, let's just start with you. You're having the Niners in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Niners, Bengals, their rematch of 88.
And
88, 81, right?
and I'm assuming you're picking Jimmy's Bengals to win.
No way.
The Bill Walsh curse never will die. That's the freaking.
I'm shocked. You're not taking
It would be ironic if it was on NBC because, Chris Collinsworth would just be loving
you would
that.
love that. Oh, you would love that. T. Higgins, what a play. What a play.
And then all of a sudden, Brock Purdy leads a 2-minute drill that wins the game by 3 points.
Jimmy's been had a hard life.
I've seen this too many times. I've watched the should have been rings, and yeah, Ken Anderson should have a Super Bowl ring. Boomer Esiason should have a Super Bowl ring. We should have just hired Bill Walsh as our first head coach after Paul Brown. Paul Brown was too much into Bill Walsh as a psychotic, and he's never going to make it in this business. And he almost didn't, but then he just killed us, beat us in the only 2 Super Bowls that we made before 2020.
Jimmy,
Florida State just took the lead, 24-17.
That's our update right there, Brian. You got to give me a little buzz right here. Tyler pointed out there on the stickers on the back of the helmet this year. Jimmy, you had Giants surprise at Niners. Who do you have playing your Bengals? And are the Bengals holding up the Lombardi Trophy this year?
I'll say that it's a rematch, and I say that we get them because it has to be. You have to beat the teams that have plagued you. Steve Young said it when he won it for the 49ers. I got to get this monkey off my back. Joe Burrow, he doesn't think that there's a monkey on his back, but it would be nice for me. I've been carrying this monkey around for quite some time. I finally have a little bit of success. I finally have a team that can compete year in and year out. I would like to see them hoist the Lombardi once in my life. Then I'll die a happy man.
It's funny how I felt that way when the Warriors won theirs. I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. And the Raiders, I'm still waiting for the Raiders and the A's to give me that feeling of not disappointing me every single year with the Raiders. I don't know if I'm in the low spot right now. So I like it. So you got the Bengals, obviously you got the Niners. I got Bills playing the Niners. I'm going Buffalo beat San Francisco in the Super Bowl, and the Bills for the first time.
You got the Berman Bowl.
I got the Bourbon Bowl, and I got the Bills hosting it for the first time. Exactly. So yeah, that's who I got. So we got one Bengal, we got a Niner, and we got the Bills. So feel free to drop your.
None of those teams are about to make the playoffs. Just know that.
That is true. There is none of those teams that are going to make the playoffs.
All the starting quarterbacks are going to get injured week 1.
And I got it written down, so we'll all keep notes. It's on video as well. We'll keep it updated. We got a lot of the same teams, though. We got a few differences, though, with the AFC Championship games and those things as well. Brian, you going to say something?
I do not want Darnold on the field the whole season.
Not a big Darnold guy. I could respect that. If he's in there, some people said that's a bold prediction. He could still win it. Jimmy, I got our question of the week here brought to you by Row 1 Brand. Use that code VSP15. You get 15% anything in that art gallery. Brian, I heard they have some Chris Collinsworth paintings on sale there. You should look into getting one for your bedroom. I think right above your head right there. You can be right there with it.
Here's a guy.
Wait,
hold on.
They should call it Bengals Mania. And they should have Jimmy. They should have Chris Collinsworth, and they should have Boomer Esiason.
Oh, Boomer! Could you imagine if they had Boomer with there? You would be in real trouble.
Boomer hated the Bengals until they made that playoff run, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh yeah, I have to acknowledge that I played for the Bengals now." He wanted it so badly just to be the New York Jets former quarterback until that playoff run happened.
That's all he wanted. That's all he wanted. Then, Jimmy, the question is to start the year, who are your bandwagon team, or maybe your one team? There's just some team you might fall in love with. For me, Brian, obviously it used to always be the Cardinals. That was the team I always kind of was rooting for random reasons. Way back, we did our 20-year look back this year, even when Bolden was a rookie that year. Those were the teams I rooted for. This year, I kind of have the teams I have. I wrote down 4 that I kind of always seem to be rooting for is the Vikings, the Jaguars, the Colts, and a little bit more interest this year because I went out on a limb with them as the Falcons. So for this year, those are the teams I'm going to be kind of watching the most, just because I kind of took some risk with those teams. What do you guys have for maybe your bandwagon teams? Jimmy, we'll start with you.
It's kind of obvious. I still, even though I hate their fans, I don't want to be lumped in as one of their fans, but the Eagles have that kind of mentality. And I remember Brian Dawkins when I was growing up, like the pregame speeches, Weapon X. It takes a special kind of hatred to boost Santa Claus and throw batteries at him on Christmas Eve. So, and the Italian ties, the mob ties, Rocky, it all makes sense. Philadelphia, I'm a Birds. If I'm going to pick a team in the NFC that I don't have to worry about for my team until the Super Bowl, it'd be the Eagles. That would be my team.
Interesting. That is an interesting bandwagon team. So even the team of this year, you like their players enough to where you would root
I
for
love
them?
Jason Kelsey. I love Landon Dickerson. I wish they were Bengals. I wish I could get them. I do that in my Madden when I make franchises. I put those two on my Bengals offensive line. So those are the two like emotional ties that I have to the team. And I like Hurts too. I think he did his college career and he's kind of gone about things the right way, more so than I can say for some other people.
Interesting. I never would have thought it's a good one right there. You surprised me at that. Brian, who do you got for a bandwagon team?
I'm going to go the team I'd always vote for in the playoffs other than the Niners was always the Miami Dolphins. Like something about
Don Shula.
Even when they had Marino, I was just like, I love seeing that team in the playoffs or something.
Do you think Don Shula started the rumor that Dan Marino was a pothead? That's why he fell in the draft initially. It's like, I need a quarterback. What can I say about Dan Marino that everybody's going to be like, oh my God, and it's the 1980s? Like, yeah, Dan Marino smokes pot. No way. Oh my stars.
Wait, at University of Pittsburgh, right there.
The Steelers drafted El Senor Sack, who didn't end up panning out.
The same thing happened to Ward.
Bradshaw told Elway, go play baseball.
The Chargers used to be a bandwagon team for me back in the day when they were always bad. They had other uniforms.
Eric Coryell.
Brian used to be, Brian used to be a Bengals bandwagon guy back in the day when they had Palmer.
Yeah, I love Palmer even coming out of college, and I
liked him for a time.
I loved it when he came out off the couch and played with the Raiders for a little bit.
Absolutely, that was a great time. Right?
That was when I lost interest. I get why he did it, and it was definitely our owner had a lot to do with it. I don't like Mike Brown all that much, but he could have gone about it a different way, in my opinion. I did not like Carson Palmer after that moment.
I can see that.
And then he went to the NFC Championship game with the Cardinals.
Yep. Nope.
Yep.
I forgot about that.
You mean Larry Fitzgerald dragged that team through the AFC playoffs? That's what happened that year.
Oh, he was a beast, that NFC playoff run against the Eagles and all that, especially that whole playoff, Panthers, everybody that playoff.
The Packers game, game that went to overtime.
Oh yeah, that was insane. That was one of the best playoff games ever, right there. They get that interception or fumble there at the end to win it. I always think that's interesting. Your bandwagon team, or like if you have the NFL package, maybe there's a team you kind of end up rooting for, you have fantasy interest with, so you end up kind of watching those teams' games a little bit more than the other teams because of those reasons. We had stated
when I lived with my parents, I had the ticket. This guy was over every week, and he'd point at the TV and go Cardinals.
It's Cardinals time, baby. We need to check on those Cardinals. John, 3 more rounds. We're there. If I'm picking right now, I'm sorry. Our captain Brandon, he let it go 8 hours last night. He was the first one, I think, that let it go all 8 hours.
He must have been sleeping. Must have been sleeping. I'm gonna say that he was sleeping just for his sake.
For his sake, we'll give him a break on that one. Appreciate anybody, like we said, tuning in here in the Clutch Studios here, brought to you by Row One Brand in the Clutch. Like I said, be sure to check us out at Variety Sports Network, at Far Under the Bench, at Fat Boy Fadeaway Sports. We got a lot going on.
You're fired.
He's fired. Yeah, he's fired. He's like, I didn't do that draft. That's left. No wait around. We should have done 12 hours. I wonder if they actually set it up to where we actually will be done Thursday morning. I guess we'll find out here.
It's getting pretty close. So
getting close. I think we can do it here.
I got one person on the clock in front of me, but they've already taken an hour and 15 minutes.
Well, they're pondering. That's what they're doing. All right, let's get through the week one picks here. We don't have to go through all the games unless we go through it pretty quick. I just kind of want to hit on some of the big games here as we move through it, and you can just tell me who you got. I'll write them down for the game here. We'll keep track here for the first week. Jimmy, that's where we're at with the season right now. We're starting this. You know what I mean? Like it's football team. College football started this week. Thursday football kind of gets us into it with the Lions Chiefs, and then we're go time here on Sunday. Lions at Chiefs. Who do you got, Jimmy, winning that one?
I think that with everything that's going on with the Chiefs, and it's going to be the banner game. There's a lot of distraction going on, and the Lions are hungry. They're motivated. This would be the time that they're going to make some kind of statement. So I'm going to start things off, and I'm going to try and stick. I'm going to try and write it down and remember. I'll listen to the show before Nico and I have our first week of the pick'em. But I'm going to say that the Lions beat the Chiefs opening night, or at least they cover. As I'm looking here, the spread is 6.5. I think it's a 3-point game if the Chiefs are able to win. Otherwise, the Lions are going to get a win and start the season off 1-0.
Wow, a big win there for the Lions to start. Well, Ryan, you go Lions too? You think the Chiefs pull it out?
No, just Kansas City is such a tough place to play. I mean that's 1 year we went in there and Jimmy Garoppolo blew his ACL, so I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
What do you think of Dolphins at Chargers? I think that's an interesting. And by the way, I got the Chiefs winning that one. Jimmy, you're the one. You get a big advantage over us. They pull that out. Dolphins at Chargers. Feel like that's the kind of one of these intriguing games as well. I'm going to go Chargers. I'm going to go Chargers pull this one out in week 1. Who do you got, Jimmy?
That's an interesting coaching matchup, and neither team takes preseason seriously. So I think it's going to be one of the worst executed games of the weekend. Since somebody has to win, I'll go with the guy that's from Colorado. So Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins beat the Chargers, but I don't think it's going to be a very good football game. I think that one might be a game that I skip, even though I can watch it during the Red Zone channel.
Brian, that's funny you says that, because I think me and you would think that'd be one of the best games out there looking at it. I know
it might be high scoring, it might be entertaining, but I think there's going to be so many mistakes. It's going to be hard to watch.
Not well. I get you because of them not playing. Brian, who do you like to win that one?
I actually kind of disagree. I feel like the Dolphins are the most executed team in the first half. It's the second half when they start declining. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins in this game.
Bengals Browns. Jimmy, I know you probably got the Bengals. I'm assuming winning this one. You got a reason there? Is it just as simple as, week 1 you're not nervous at all in Cleveland? It's got to be a little. It's not. It doesn't seem like a walk in the park.
Not nervous. We did get embarrassed the last time we went into Cleveland last season. Burrow's coming off of his injury. He's back practicing, so he's going to have a week of practices back under his belt. It's not necessarily quite as bad as the appendicitis, where he basically came out of the hospital back to the practice field. He at least has some experience. We'll never pick the Browns since what they did at quarterback. So I could think that they're going to be a tough game. I could think that they're probably going to win a game. I like a lot of other guys on the team. Like, I love Nick Chubb. I would have Nick Chubb on my team any day of the week. But the guy that they have at quarterback makes me actively root against them, against everybody that they play, especially the Bengals.
Brian, you got them pulling off an upset against the Bengals?
No, I'm going with the Bengals on this one. They should do like the scene from The Replacements and have the cheerleaders on the sideline. That might get John excited.
I'm gonna go Browns. I think the Bengals, Jimmy. I'm gonna go stick with your philosophy a little bit. I feel like the Bengals have been a little weird this preseason with the Burrow thing and that. So I'm gonna go Browns pull off.
And the Browns with Deshaun Watson, is it weird to you? That's weird to me.
Well, that's a weird
equivalent of Bill Cosby starting games in the NFL.
All right, fine. You got me on that one. I can't go with that argument there, I guess. All right, how about Panthers at Falcons? Kind of an interesting one to me, because I'm always wondering with like a rookie quarterback, sometimes they can surprise you a little bit, come out of nowhere and pull off have a good couple weeks of the season, because the defense doesn't really know how good they are at rolling out and throwing the ball deep, and like they kind of catch you off guard a little bit. Any chance the Panthers win this game, Brian?
No, I'm going to go with the Falcons. I think that the Panthers just don't have the weapons at this point. And as a guy that took Bijan in my money league, I hope he drops 3 touchdowns the first game.
Who do you got, Jimmy?
I'm thinking the Falcons also. I don't think the Panthers are going to be very good this season. They're going to still be in the hunt for a top 5 draft pick come next year. So I definitely think that Atlanta has the upper hand in the division. The only team that I could see them struggling with is the Saints, and maybe the second time they play Carolina. But right now, I think that Bryce Young's in for a rude awakening, because that team just isn't very good around him. And they trade away a lot of the weapons he was going to have.
Raiders at Broncos, Jimmy. You like the Raiders to pull this one out, or you think the Broncos will too?
Yes, because I think you might like this as well, because I don't know how you feel about Josh McDaniels as a coach. I say the Broncos lose this week at home against the Raiders, and then the Raiders go on. They have a little bit of a middling season, going back, going forth, going back, going forth. They get to the game where Denver goes to Vegas towards the end of the season. Broncos win. Josh McDaniels gets fired before they get to the locker room in the home field at Allegiant Stadium, and that is what they finally break the curse. Because I think the Raiders are on a streak over the Broncos too, aren't they? It's kind of embarrassing to be a Broncos fan at the moment. And I'm not a Broncos fan. I'm just speaking on behalf of the one that I know very personally.
Jimmy, I took the Raiders. I think I'm not trying to be a homer either. If you know me, I'm not that kind of fan with the Raiders at all.
You guys always beat us in Denver. You make it embarrassing. That's what broke our sellout streak.
Brian, what do you say with Jimmy though when he plays Wilson? I forget what it is.
Basically, Wilson's his daddy. He's 1-7 all time against Russell Wilson.
He's in a new uniform. He's feeling a little better. He's in silver and black.
Is this the same Russell Wilson? I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Broncos. I feel like Denver's on a high right now. Colorado took out TCU on Saturday, so
Travis Hunter is a better player and does more for the football scene in Colorado than Russell Wilson's done this season.
Yes.
Titans. Oh, go ahead, Jimmy. Sorry,
I was just gonna say 110 snaps. Shout out Travis Hunter, and a guy that I think if he continues to play like this and he doesn't slow down, that's a sneaky Heisman guy. If you didn't get him already.
I mean, we talked about earlier a little bit. Riders catching a pass and intercepting. That's pretty crazy.
12 receptions, over 150 yards receiving, plus an interception.
Titans at Saints, real quick, Brian. Who do you got?
I definitely got the Saints. I think they're going to roll pretty heavily over the Titans.
I'm going Titans in this one. Jimmy?
In loyalty.
I don't think you're going to give Derek Carr any credit all year.
Derek Carr, nope, he has to prove me wrong. I do not. Derek Carr has to do something else.
In loyalty to Taylor Lewan and Will Compton no longer being on the Titans, and since they both got cut and released, I'm going to say that New Orleans wins. New Orleans will start the year off. And they always come out good. They always beat Brady in Tampa week 1 of the season. So New Orleans coming out strong doesn't surprise me.
I'll be interested to know Kamara the first 3 games to see if that makes any difference at all. Kind of an intriguing game. Packers at Bears. Kind of one of those games where you're like, if you're betting, you could probably put I would have no idea. You just tell me either way who would win this game. I'm gonna take the Bears to pull it off this one. I think they're able to pull it off and beat Love in his debut, kind of really there as the main man. Brian, who you got?
Yeah, I got the Bears too. I have to see what we're going to get from Jordan Love before putting any label on that team.
Yeah, that makes sense. Who do you got, Jimmy?
The Bears did more, and they have more weapons around their guy at quarterback. And I forgot that Justin Fields rushed for 1,000 yards. So if all else fails, he's going to break down, and I don't think the Packers are going to be able to outscore rushing Justin Fields if that defense doesn't hold. The defense wasn't good last year for Green Bay either, so I think Chicago probably has that one, and it's a 1-point spread. So if you think Chicago is going to win, probably parlay the money line with the spread pick because that's easy parlay there.
No doubt. I agree. We'll do a couple more here. We're not going to go through all the games here. Sunday night game, Cowboys at Giants. We'll be doing the podcast there during that game. I should see if I can get our Giants guy on to come on live during that one. The guy does the bet stuff. He's good. Does his Giants pod there. Jimmy, I'm going to take the Cowboys to win this one, though. Who do you like pulling this one out?
For this part of the season, I'm going to say I'll say the Giants. I think the Giants are going to surprise people. They're going to be a tougher out than anybody gives them credit for. So in that regard, I think that's where I'm sitting. I say the Giants win. I already picked them to go to the NFC Championship, so they got to start off hot.
That's a good call. I like that because you had them going to the championship. Fair enough. And the Giants. There's a chance where I could see them doing that. Like when you said that, I just haven't really thought about them in that way yet. Brian, who do you like pulling it out on Sunday Night Football?
I'm gonna go the Dallas Cowboys. I just don't think the Giants kind of had a good year last year, but I think they're going to come down to earth.
I like that. I can see that. That's kind of where I feel. I'm with it right now, but we'll see there. Monday night, kind of an intriguing one. Bills at Jets. I'm going Bills to win this one. What do you think, Jimmy?
I'm going to pick the Jets because it's if you know me, it's my brother's team. My brother's one of my best friends. So in solidarity with him. I think that he wants to see Aaron Rodgers come out and do good things. And who knows? Maybe that's the time that you catch him off guard, where it's the first time that we've never actually seen them play a true game with Rodgers in New York. So we'll see. I'll pick the Jets for this week. It might be a bad pick, but we'll check it out.
I forgot we had that slogan with your brother last year at the Jets. I forget what it was now, but we had that going for a while. Whatever that was, it was something he had done one of the first couple of weeks he was on with it. Brian, who do you like to win that game?
Jets and the Bills.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with the Bills in this game.
On the road. All right.
Yeah.
So Jimmy going out. Jimmy getting those Jets there by himself on that one. There'll be some games. I'll look back, keep our little record on a few of the games here throughout the season with it. I know, Jimmy, the only last one I want to get your thoughts on is not Brian. I know you got Niners. I know I have Steelers. Jimmy, just who do you have winning that game to be the tiebreaker here?
I say the Niners. I don't want the Steelers to start off the season 1-0. So I'm gonna be on the Niners side.
It's gonna be like Daren's gonna be like the Oregon Duck.
You couldn't have expected me to pick the Steelers. You know how I feel about anything else in the AFC North, and the Steelers are the most putrid of all. They're the ones that I have the most family members and friends as fans of, but
I'm with you. I'm not a Steelers person at all, but I like them this week against the Niners at least.
I hope the Immaculate Reception happens again, and you have to relive that being played on TV.
That's unnecessary.
And then they play Whistlegate right after.
Unnecessary cheap shot there with that.
And the Tuck rule. Let's just make it a trifecta. It's a trilogy.
Killing me right now. All right, I got some news and notes here as we got through the weekend matchups. We missed a few as well. I'm sorry, Jags, Colts fans, Bucks, Vikings, Cards, Washington. Sorry, we couldn't get to all of you this week. All right, hey, let's get over to news and notes this week. Pete Carroll rules out Jamal Adams for week 1. Found that. So he's out for week 1 against in their matchup against the Rams. We also got the Vikings. They make T.J. Hawkinson. He signs an historic deal, 4 years, $66 million, 42.5 guaranteed, makes him the highest paid tight end in the history of the NFL. Cowboys, they lock up key pieces, signing their right tackle Terrence Steele today to a 5-year deal worth an extension of $86.8 million, and Jimmy a $50 million of that guaranteed. So the Cowboys been doing a lot, signing a ton of guys this offseason as well. They also signed Tavon Diggs this offseason. So they've been making some big signings as well. A couple other news and note here. Jonah Williams making a seamless transition so far to right tackle, along with Orlando Brown signing. Could give Joe Burrow the best offensive line in his career. I was a little worried about him. He was maybe Jimmy going to make my pressure player on that thing because of just kind of how the offseason he had. But it seems like he's kind of now finally come to the realization he wasn't really that great all the time the last couple of years. So maybe he's kind of it sounds like he's kind of fitting out right tackle, and maybe the Bengals now have a chance to kind of give Burrow some actual protection.
It was bad. I mean, I think he was a left tackle at Alabama because he was better than everybody else and they had more talent than everybody. He's still going to face premier pass rushers on the right-hand side, but maybe it's just a little bit more natural for him to play. I do think this is their best offensive line. They're going to get Kappa back. They have their rookies and Sharping and the guy that last name starts with V. I can't think of it right now. But they got guys that have experience from last season, and they're getting Ted Karras, Alex Kappa, Orlando Brown Jr., all 3 guys with Super Bowl experience, plus possibly Jonah Williams, who is a former number 10 overall pick.
And I thought it was kind of interesting to see, just kind of like now that he's kind of come to the realization there a little bit, we could be a lot better if you're going to right tackle. What do you think about this one real quick, Jimmy, making T.J. Hawkinson the highest paid tight end? Does it mean nothing because of the way football contracts matter, or is he worth to be that guy, you think?
It seems a litlit high for me. I think that I know that he was holding out and he magically recovered from his ear infection after he got paid. So there's probably a little bit of a circumvention there of the rules. I think it's a little high for him, but if the Vikings, maybe that's who they plan to build around for the next however long. They're at the end of the massive contract they gave Cousins. So now they have money to be able to spend, and maybe this is the next group of guys that they're going to spend it on. And Hawkinson is going to be that piece that they try and build around, because I don't think they're going to be very good. So they're going to be in the sweepstakes for maybe a Drake May. I don't know if they're going to get all the way up to the number 1 pick for Caleb Williams, but they'll have some options.
Yeah, Drake May really impressed me yesterday. He looks like he's legit.
There's a few guys that looked pretty good. I mean, and Shedeur Sanders surprised the hell out of me.
Man,
I know that we keep going back to Colorado, but over 450 yards for the kid that was just the HBCU quarterback.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty
And
solid.
then update on the game. Florida State has a 2-touchdown advantage. They picked off the LSU quarterback and got a touchdown. So it's 31-17 Florida State in the fourth quarter.
I saw where LSU guy fumbled the ball. And the Florida State player made like one of the worst throws on an out screen that you can ever make to a quarterback there. Hey, last news and note here: wide receiver drama I have. Evan sets week 1 deadline for new deal. Cooper Kupp has a setback with the hamstring there. I already mentioned Jamal Adams being out as well. So Jimmy, there are a few little kind of news and notes there heading into week 1 of the NFL season here. As we do this more and more throughout the season, right? These injuries are going to play just a major factor, as you know, in every game going forward. So it starts right now. It's a real deal. These aren't preseason injuries we're talking about. These are guys now missing games that matter in week 1. So, all right, let's get to our last segment here that I got here. Our Hail Mary as part of, we'll call it a show here. Get ready for regular season football next week. We'll be on live, like I said, when Cowboys are at Giants there. So we'd love to have you guys on commenting on during the game, recapping the Sunday night games with us. We'll definitely mention all your comments on the show as well. Jimmy, I don't know, any traditions? This is kind of what I was thinking. Like football for some people is like it's a holiday in itself. So is there anything you kind of do uniquely for week 1, or maybe this is any Sunday, but maybe is there any like week 1 maybe tradition that you guys do? If not, maybe an every Sunday tradition you do for football or something like that?
Now, I mean, we sometimes for like the every Sunday tradition, a lot of times my dad has a flat top griddle that we have outside. So we invite the family over for like brunch and we get to watch the game since we always have the Red Zone channel. So we can watch more than just what's on our local TVs. I guess mine personally, especially with teaching at the school, I kind of pick a jersey that's going to be my lucky jersey for that time until the Bengals lose. I think I started white this past season. So I'm going with my white Burrow. And unless this first weekend that they do end up going 0-1 and it doesn't turn out well against Cleveland. But for now, I just have a lucky jersey and a lucky outfit that I wear every Friday. And then I also put it back on for Sunday because it's lucky. I can't change it. Not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
And you always got if you're a Bengals fan, your team was usually on in the morning. So probably my guess is most of the time week 1, that was, you got the early game most of the time there. Brian, now my tradition is I go to usually our Papa Pizza's place out there. I usually get there about 11:30. Go there, get a little pizza and an adult beverage, and then go there and leave about 1:30, kind of the start of the afternoon.
I always notice there's a lot of Dolphins fans there.
There was a few Dolphins fans there. And for some reason, somehow in Cloverdale, California, we have some Dolphins and some Steelers fans at our place. And we actually have a Buffalo Bills family. It's crazy out there. There's like 12 people that come to this place out here in Little Cloverdale. So, Brian, you got any traditions there you do for week 1 or the football on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's always the theory that if you're going to stay home, you stay home. If you're going to go to a bar, you go to the bar. You never go from the bar home. Because when we played the Rams a couple years ago, I went from the bar and went home, and I'm not doing that again.
That's a smart move, Johnson. Play it smart on a Sunday. Brian, that's why we're more than just a football podcast, and we give people good life advice as well. So that's always something that we can do there with it as well. Jimmy, there we got week 1 though starting up next week. You mentioned kind of that you're going to be doing for far into the bench. You guys are going to be going through all the picks on your show this week. You're probably doing the spread maybe as well. So thanks for giving us a few of your picks here on the show with it. We did the show already this morning, the Sunday Scaries. You got a lot going on. You've been doing all the coaching. Where can we find you out here? Where can people find you out here?
All the shows that I have are under Far End of the Benches channel, so they can get released audio-wise and on YouTube. So be sure to subscribe, follow Far End of the Bench wherever you listen, at FEOTV Pod on all social medias. Right now we have so far the YouTube are going to drop 12 hours before the audio. So Wednesday nights you'll be able to see the YouTube video. So that's why we want you to subscribe. Normal podcast drop Thursdays. Top of the Mountain with Rev, talking D2 football in the RMAC on Fridays, and then Sunday Scaries on Sunday. Top of the Mountain and Sunday Scaries are both live shows, and then Far End of the Bench every now and then we go live, but most of the time it's recorded and we just release Thursdays. So at FEOTB Pod, that's where you can find all the updates and all the links to everything.
And from this point on, Jimmy, we got real football we're talking about here on Sunday night. So it gets a little bit, it feels a little bit different. Brian, Tyler, maybe my favorite part of the show today, he loser of the week. He named the T&B podcast. You're part of the T&B. He named you guys loser of the week. What do you guys got a show going on this week?
I think this is a little rip towards Tyler, but they got sick on the day that I wanted to do it. And then he comes out of the blue on almost 8 o'clock on a night and goes, "Let's do a pod." And I'm like, I need more time than that, man. But anyways, next week we're gonna preview week 1.
There you go.
We're gonna go over like who we consider our breakout players and people that basically need to step up while Nick Bosa is gone, and we're just gonna get into a bunch of stuff.
There you go. All Niners all the time there on the T&B podcast. But I liked it, Tyler, the honesty this week on it. Of course, I got to shout out our guys out of your Falcon Mind commenting on here. John, appreciate you guys tuning in. Dirty Fanatics United, appreciate you said he subbed to the channel as well. Appreciate you subbing in. I got you. We're subbed to you as well. So keep up the good work there on your guys' show. Doug, thanks for tuning in here as well. Anybody at Variety Sports Network, far into the bench, make sure you guys give us a follow all the time there. Jimmy, like I said, this is the real deal now. We'll get ready for next week. It'll be interesting. Like we said, you do all this hype during the preseason, you do all these predictions, and then the games come and you're like, oh, maybe I overthought that, or whoa, this happened there, or what the heck? How did I not think this guy was going to be good? So it's crazy.
I'm prepared to be wrong. I just think everything that I say over the next week and a half is going to be wrong, and that's going to lead into a whole season of just being wrong, losing the pick'em. I'll have to do whatever we come up with as a punishment. It's just going to continue. My life is a cycle. I don't break the cycle.
Well, hopefully you picking the Bengals this year will break that cycle. That will be the one that will break that. That will be more important than you losing the pick'em if they win the Super Bowl. So that's all that matters the most here. And just like that, Talking the Gridiron is over. We'll see you guys next Sunday, 6:45 during Cowboys at Giants. For Jimmy Pilato, far into the bench, Brian Johnson, I'm Daren Breyer, Fat Boy Fadeaway Sports. Peace.
Peace.
This is Brandon, CEO of the Variety Sports Network. Thank you again for watching tonight's show. Best way you can support us is by hitting that subscribe button, that like button, and hitting the notification so you don't miss out on the next show right here on the Variety Sports Network.